Hi everybody, thanks for tuning in. My name's Linda and this is Heritage Trace Studios. This channel is almost all about cross stitching. Every once in a while I'll throw in something else and we'll just kind of, chat and see what's happening with everybody and share and all those good things. So it's been quite a while since I've been here because, life is busy. Life gets busy, busy, busy. And it shouldn't be that busy. I mean, I don't have children. I don't have grandchildren. I only work part-time, but it's been busy. So let me just kind of go over a few things here. The thing about cross stitch, I don't know about y'all, but for me, cross stitch is very soothing, and especially in the world that we live in, and the pace at which things are going, soothing is important, and having that outlet is important. And so making sure that you've got time to do whatever it is that brings you that kind of comfort is really, really important. I will be quite honest, I try not to do political commentary on my site. That's not what this is about. But I have a lot of difficulty with our society today. And yeah, it's very distressing to me. And the only way that I can deal with it is really to remove myself from a lot of what goes on and just concentrate on those things that bring me joy, comfort and joy. Hubby, my family, I have 4 sisters. I have great nieces and nephews, some great-greats, and so it's a lot. And so stitching is what I do. And I think I've told you in the past over previous videos that I've done different things at different points in my life. I recently have been working on putting the binding on a quilt that I started a couple of years ago. And as I was stitching the binding the other day, well, first of all, let me just say, living in Texas, it has to be a certain temperature before I get the urge to quilt. And it got cold here recently. And I was like, oh, let me get this quilt out and get this finished. So I was sitting, working on the binding the other night, and I remembered that the binding part isn't really what I like. And so it was taking me forever to stitch it closed, and I was being bad and taking too big of stitches, and some of my stitches were coming through onto the front, and it was a mess. So I have to take it out, go back, take a breath, do it the way I know that I want it done. So sometimes that's part of our world, and sometimes you just got to go back and do things the right way. So there's that. Most of the people in my family are doing quite well. One of my sisters is experiencing the trip of a lifetime right now. She's in Israel, and since she is the very strong Christian believer, that's very that's something really major in her life, and so I'm very happy for her about that. She's usually a woman who puts everybody else first. She puts her kids, her grandchildren. She is always of service to somebody else, and I'm so glad that she is there and partaking of this opportunity, she and her husband. So that's really exciting. My older sister and my youngest sister are both fine. Another sister who lives in Arizona is having some, seasonal flu stuff going around. She lives in a retirement community, and that stuff goes around. I've tried to stay away from anybody who's having issues because there have been people where I work who've been sick, and you got to be careful these days. I myself have been mostly fine. Yesterday I had a wicked headache. I was going to try to do this video yesterday, but you wouldn't have wanted that. And I was going to do a video in October, and today is December 30th. I mean, I was going to do a video in October. We were having some yard sale, decluttering some stuff, and I was in the garage moving some things around, and I took a step backwards and caught my heel on an old chair mat, an office mat for an office chair that was curled up in the corner, and I caught my heel on it and fell backwards. And so I was, I was really worried that I had really well, I have neck issues anyway, and so every once in a while if I jar myself just so, it's not good. But I really did the whole spine thing, and it took a couple weeks to get back to feeling normal. I went and had MRIs just to make sure everything was cool, because I really thought I had broken my bum there for a minute, but it's all good. I'm still basically in one piece, and but it did kind of throw things out of whack for a good chunk of October. So then then we're moving into November. Now, I think I've said before that I still work part-time for a very small church, and the church recently, let's see, when did Reverend Becky start? I think she started in late August, maybe early September. So they have a new minister, somebody I have known for quite some time, but working with somebody in the capacity as that's the person that you report to, because I'm the office administrator, it's different than just, hey, how are you? So we've been learning, each other's personalities and how we do things, and that's an ongoing process. But I'm very happy about that situation. And then moving into late November and December, that's the busiest time of the year for most churches. And so it's been quite busy. There have been days when I only work part-time. It's not like I'm putting in, 80-hour weeks. But there have been days when I have come home and just been, the brain's been overtaxed and I wasn't able to stitch. I just sat there, Cooper on my lap, and we just watched General Hospital from that day, and that was basically it. By the way, before I get too much further into this, if you hear dogs barking, I do apologize. I had my 2 dogs in here. They often are in here with me as I'm sewing, and they're fine. They hang out. They both have their own quilts they lay on. They watch out the front window. This is my only front-facing window in the house, so they get to watch the world go by. But we also recently have had some squirrels move into the neighborhood, and we refer to them as domestic terrorists. Neither one of the dogs like them. Cooper, where we used to live, and we just had Cooper, the squirrels just drove him nuts because they were in abundance in that neighborhood. There aren't that many of them here, but there are enough now that they do go crazy. And Max, the other dog, is much more vocal about his displeasure than Coop is. So I finally had to lock them out. They're probably sitting right outside the door wondering why they can't come in. If they could behave, they would be welcome, but oh well. So I will proceed without them, and hopefully we won't be hearing from them. So in the fall, I went on a retreat, the Stitching Bee retreat. It's this lady has a number of retreats in Texas, Oklahoma, South Texas, out towards Fredericksburg during the year. And there's one not far from me that I've gone to. This is the second year. Second year that I've gone to the Stitching Bee retreat. And it's a lot of fun. And last year, right at the end of the retreat, I found out that a woman at the next table not only lives in the same town that I live in, but she lives in the same development that I live in. And so we said, oh, let's get together and stitch. That was a year ago, and we never quite got it together to do that, but we text a lot. What are you working on? What are you doing? You know, and she and I carpooled together for this retreat, and that was nice, getting to know her and getting to hear about her boys and all of that good stuff. So her name is Cindy, and hi, Cindy. She's a beautiful stitcher. I feel like I'm in first grade compared to her stitching. Is fabulous. So that was a lot of fun, and we're both going to there's a retreat in April coming up, Stitching Texas, and we're both going to that. I'm hoping that we will be able to either carpool together or, you know, grab seats at the same table. And I'm really looking forward to that. That retreat last year was really fun, and the woman who organizes it does a phenomenal job, and she's got terrific helpers, and it's awesome. So looking forward to that. Those are usually the only 2 retreats I seem to make it to in a year, especially as I'm semi-retired and my income is not what it used to be. So I'm a member of the Embroidery Guild of America. There's a very active chapter in Fort Worth, which in theory, the town I live in is part of Fort Worth, even though the mailing address is different. You know, how Texas can be, everything's big, 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 big. And so this is part of Fort Worth, but not really. Anyway, I do belong to the Embroidery Guild of Fort Worth. They meet the first Saturday of every month, and I don't like doing resolutions, New Year's resolutions, but I do want to be better about making it to the meetings. They meet the first Saturday of each month at 9 o'clock, and it takes me about an hour to get from where I live to where the meetings are. And so that's quite a bit, especially as I am traditionally a late night girl who likes to stay up and stitch and sleep in when I don't have to be at work the next day. But so I gotta just work on getting my bum out of bed on those Saturday mornings so that I can make it down there, because they're really a good group of people. And there are some people it's, you know, all over the big area of Fort Worth, and there are people who are in outlying areas who get together to stitch periodically. There are people who go up to Denton, which is quite a ways north of me, once a month on a Wednesday evening. And since Thursday is my busiest day of the week at work, that's not doable for me. There's a group of people who they call themselves Stitching in the West, I think is what they're calling it, something like that. And they're west of Fort Worth. And I've gone to a couple of those meetings, but a couple of those ladies are really quite a ways away. And so those locations have not been that convenient. And I don't want to spend an hour and whatever on the road. I'd rather try to find something closer by and hang with some people. So I've decided that I'm going to try to organize people in this general area and find a place where we can have a little stitching event once a month. And so if you are north and northwest of Fort Worth, pay attention to Facebook. I'm going to be posting on there. And I was thinking that I would call it something like North by Northwest Stitchers. I'll plagiarize the movie name. And see if I can get people in this area. And maybe we'll go meet at a restaurant in Roanoke. There are lots of restaurants in Roanoke. Many of them have space that you can sit and stitch. Sometimes the group out west that I've gone with, we've gone to a Panera, and on a Saturday afternoon when it hasn't been very busy, and we just take a few, seats, put a table together, and we're not in anybody's way, and it's been really nice. So we're looking for a situation like that. So I'm excited about that prospect. I'll keep you informed how that goes. The stitching that I've been doing, you know how you're stitching along and you're doing your thing, and then you think, oh, I haven't really been that productive. And being as we're at the end of 2025, which is pretty unbelievable, I've been looking back over some of my notes and my planner, and just taking a look at, a look at what I had last year. I did WIPGO last year, and I want to talk about that a little bit. Some people who've never done WIPGO before are a little wary of it because they think that it's restrictive and they have to follow a lot of rules and all the kind of things. And the cool thing about it is that there are no rules. There's no stitching police. There's a general guidelines, and that is Jessie Marie, who is the person who organizes it. She, you pick projects that you want to try to make some progress on, WIPs that are unfinished. That was the original intent. And you make a calendar, or they call it a board, for a month, and you plug your unfinished pieces in there, and they're numbered, and then every month she calls 2 numbers. And so during the course of a month, you work on those 2 numbers that are called. Some people put 2 projects in for every month, different projects. Some people, last year I had 12 projects, so I put each one in twice and had a free month to do whatever. And, different people do use it different ways. I did put in some new starts instead of WIPs, as I haven't been back stitching that long that I have tons and tons of WIPs. I have more than I used to, but I don't have like some people do. And so you can kind of organize it the way that you want to do it. It really helped me make some progress. I finished, the very first thing I finished was the floral motif sampler, which I think I showed in my first or second Flosstube. You could go back and look at that. Love that. Love stitching that. Looking for similar things like that to add to my want-to-do list. I also finished the Stars and Stripes, and those are in my previous videos. You can look on those. Now I have the floral motif sampler was fully finished object. It was framed, it's gorgeous. Stars and Stripes, I haven't figured out how I want to finish them. I'm kind of thinking the 2 buildings on some kind of a standing display. I have to measure them again and look on Paisley and Polka Dots or Chantel 141 and see if there's anything on there. Most of the things are like an inch or 2 too small for what my finished size turned out to be, if I remember correctly. So I haven't fully finished them. I would like to have them fully finished before and on display by the beginning of May when I put out my patriotic stuff for the year. And the ampersand, I think, will be a pillow that will be displayed in between whatever the 2 hard finishes are. So that's my plans for that. I have patterns called the Houses on Pumpkin Lane. There are 9 designs of these cute little houses. I was going to do them all in one piece, but I decided not to do that and to do them as individual pillows instead. And I've fully finished one and have another one stitched. And I was looking around here to be able to show it to you, and I'm not sure where it is. So that might have to come for when it actually gets fully finished. I finished 2 Halloween pillows this year, which I'd never done any Halloween stitching before. And I had those out on display. That was fun. And I want to do more of those. I don't have that kind of seasonal decor. And so more of those would be good. And I made some progress on some other things. For the coming year, I was going to do WIPGO because I thought it was very helpful. And even though I kind of maybe sometimes fudged things around a little bit, moved them around, added something, took off something, the main piece that I got back into stitching to try to finish, it's going to be an unfinished piece. I'm never going to touch it again. I mean, I still have it. You never say never, but it'll be a shock if it does. There's just something about it. I have started that thing, I bet you, at least 7 times, and always something happens that becomes very discouraging. So, yeah. I have, in its place, I've taken on a couple things. And I have to tell you, one of the things that I have taken on, years ago, I was in our local needlework shop, and they had a sample up on the wall that I fell madly in love with. I might have talked about this in my last video. I can't really remember. I should have probably checked that out before I started this one. But I don't remember if I talked about it or not. But it is called Rocky Mountain Christmas. And I just, deliriously in love with this design. Well, I am. It's out of print. I looked around for it for a long time, and here it is, right in the bag right in front. Yeah, out of print. So one day on Facebook, I went into the out of print page and said, I found a picture of it online and said, here's what I'm looking for. And within 5 minutes, maybe not even 5 minutes, somebody came on and said, I have that, do you want it? And so I said, yeah, I would love to have it. How much do you want for it? And she said, oh no, just give me your address, I'll send it to you. I'm not kidding you, friends. I mean, even now, that was, a couple of months ago now, and I just got goosebumps because it's Stitch Your Kindness. It's just, this community is fabulous. So this is Smoky Mountain Christmas. And, as a quilter, as somebody who has dogs, somebody who, loves bears of all kinds. I think there's a cat on there on the sled. I mean, what's not to love about this? So it's big. It's a big baby. It is 368 stitches wide by 174 stitches high. And I was trying to decide what I was going to stitch it on. And finally, I decided that I was going to do gridded fabric because that might have been the problem with the piece that I had tried to finish for so many years. I just was getting off all the time. So I picked up some gridded fabric from 1 2 3 Stitch, and oh look, Doesn't it look fabulous? Aren't you thrilled with that start? I mean, it's not much because I've, been paying attention to a few other things I wanted to get done, but someday it's going to grow up and be gorgeous. So I'm very excited about that. And I have all the threads. And so that is going to be a piece. And that is replacing that older piece. I think I said that. So Rocky Mountain Christmas. Love it, and just so grateful to her for sharing that with me. This basket right here has the whips that I have identified as things that I want to try to touch this year. Yeah, it'd be nice to finish some stuff, but will they actually get finished? I don't know. But this is I've shown this before. This is Land That I Love. And you may recognize it from previous videos. And you may also recognize that there are no more stitches in it than there were last time. But this is going to be a focus this year. I want this up and FFO'd in time for the patriotic display that I will be putting up in May. So this is going to have a high priority, very high priority. Okay. Another thing that I have been working on for a couple of years and that I have shown before, this is a Christmas piece, so I'm not going to be working on it the first few months of the year, but I do want to work more on it. Will I finish it in the coming year? I have no idea. Something got pulled there. I'll have to pull that back in. But this is a piece I downloaded from Etsy. I love it. It is that the little rod up here that the Quaker type ornaments are hanging from is about 2/3 of the way done. So it'll go clear over to here. So I have quite a bit to do. I discovered, to my chagrin, that somewhere along the way, I think I had started out using Blanc DMC, and at some point had picked up B200 or whatever that bright white is. So there are places on here where the whites are not quite the same. I don't care. I thought about taking it out. I thought about taking it out for about as long as it took me just to say that just now, because it's for me. It's, like I said, there's no cross-stitch police. I still love it. I still am in love with doing it. I love stitching on this. I stitched on it quite a bit in November. And so this will be a piece this year too. Later in the year, probably not until Christmas in July, which is what I think when I picked it up again this year. So I'll be working on that in 26. This is Spring Moon, which was a sal that I had signed up for. I have all the floss. I have, the fabric I have for it is 18 Count Honey by Stitch Me, which I really love. And I've got a thread stuck. Holy macanoli. Because I had my needle hanging there, and you probably can't even see this because the thread is so light there. Ow, 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 ow. I need that knee. Just barely starting. When I said, oh yeah, I think Stitchy Linda and Peter, I don't know Peter's last name, we're doing a sal on this because their birthdays are both in April. And I thought, well, my birthday's in April, I'll do that sal. But there were really a lot of other things going on at the time, so this is all I got done. My birthday is still in April, so this is still going to be a project I try to focus on this year at Spring Moon. And the threads, it's a combination of Classic, Colorworks, and DMC. I'm very excited to work on that. I love all of the moon designs by Plum Creek, and yeah, someday, Plum Street, sorry. I always say Plum Creek. I think there was a Plum Creek maybe in my hometown. I don't know. Plum Street Samplers, Spring Moon. I have Summer Moon. I don't know if I picked up the fall one yet. Excuse me. I think I did. I don't know. I'll have to look and see. Yeah. Love them all. I have the mini Christmas one. I have them all, but there's just no time. My husband and I always laugh about that phrase, there's just no time. There used to be this television show, you probably remember, it's called 24. Had Keith Sutherland in it, and it was set up on this premise that everything happened within a 24-hour period. And he used to be so dramatic, and there's all these things happening, and he'd go, there's just no time. And so we would count and see how many times in an episode the character would say that. There's just no time for all the cross stitch that we need to do. That Spring Moon, that's going to be on my list this year. This was my birthday start last year. That was a birthday sal, but this was my own personal birthday start. And it is so gorgeous. Dreaming of Mums. Karen Kluba, I believe is how you pronounce her last name. Get it so that there's not a shine on it. Bring it closer, does that help? Not really. This is the type of thing that, because the floral motif sampler, I loved doing it so much, this is the type of thing that I want to look for more, little tiny things, so that when you finish a section, you just feel such great accomplishment. So much fun. So, this is on 16 count Dune by Atomic Ranch. I make up my own little cards and put them on my bags. And I'm going to start also putting them on my floss rings, because I've discovered that sometimes my floss ring doesn't get put away with the bag, and two of them are laying there and I don't know what goes to what. Not good, not good. But these are the colors. Aren't they fabulous? It's all Weeks Dye Works. And here's my start, which is not an itty bitty start like the others have been. Look, there are actually some stitches. Can you believe it? Very much in love with this. Very, very, very much. I think it'll be really cool when it's done. And I love the color's not short. Oh, there, that's kind of good. This pinkish, very subtle modeling. I love it. There's a good look at it. So that, I plan to pick this up again at the beginning of March. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how, since I'm not actually doing WIPGO with the numbers being called, I'll talk a little bit about how I'm going to be going about organizing things this year. As soon as I finish showing you the few things in my whip basket. Okay, so this is Feast of Friendship, which, you know, so many people have stitched on this. I, of course, had to jump on the bandwagon. Here are my threads. Combination, again, of Classic Colorworks and DMC. This is on Oat by Bestitch Me, and it is 18 count. This is Oat. Oh, no, wait. That is not the right one for this bag. Where is the piece? Here it is. Here it is, here it is. That's what I have done on that. This is, of course, the rooftop and part of the house and the spine of, part of the spine of the border. So there has been some stitching done on that. And again, you know, I love Bestitch Me fabric. Look at that. So subtle and yet so awesome. Love it. Now, in this same bag lives another project I'll be working on this year, and that's Flag Thief. And Flag Thief, I'm sure y'all have seen. This is also has had no more stitches added to it since the last time you saw it. But I do love it. I love almost anything with a rabbit. I love rabbits. In my book, they are not part of the rodent kingdom. They're just adorable little creatures. And I don't think of them as rodents. So that's Flag Thief, and there's the cover. Love it. So this will be a focus piece this year also. Whether I get it done in time for the 250th anniversary, I don't know. There is an American flag, but and some down across the lawn in the front, but I don't know if that'll get done. I would like to get Land of Liberty done. It's a higher priority than this one right now, but that doesn't mean I don't love it. I do. I do. Okay. So there's two in one bag there. And two more. This, y'all have seen. This is fabulous. This is Crochetta A Go-Go Spring Sampler. Maybe I should bring that closer. So look, oh, rabbits, imagine that. Rabbits and geese and little lammies. Love it. And it's on this kind of Pepto-Bismol pink color fabric, which again, I think it's also a Bestitch Me. Let me look. 20 count, but I don't have the, I'm sure it's Bestitch Me. It's got to be Bestitch Me. That subtle shading, that's got to be Bestitch Me. I don't know why I didn't get it on the tag. But look at that border. It's not that border fabulous? It is so awesome. So that's definitely a piece I'll be pulling out. Okay. And the last one in my my WIP basket. Technically not WIPGO this year, but in my WIP basket is the Dasher and Dancer Sal that I started with Red Velvet Quilter and, oh, I'm sorry, my dear, I have completely blanked on your name. And this again is a I belonged to a Bee Stitch Me Club for a while. Would like to get back into it, but you know, finances. So this is what I have done on Dasher and Dancer. And I would like to have that done by Christmas in 26. We'll see. It's not, you know, there are other things that are a higher priority, but, you know, if I could get a good amount of stitching done on Rocky Mountain Christmas and on this one, it would be okay with me if neither one of them actually got finished, as long as I can make some progress, you know, as long as I have an opportunity to touch both of them at some point during the year. That would be fine. I don't feel like I am a failure if I don't get them done. I had started out with a red, this is at the bottom, kind of a maroon color thread, and I didn't like it on the fabric, so I switched to this turquoisey color. My Christmas colors tend to be more along the blue and white and silver than traditional red and green. This thread, which is glorious to work with, it was new from Gentle Arts this year at Market. This is cerulean. I'd be happy if everything I ever stitched was that color. It's so glorious, that color. Glory, glory. Okay. All right, as I said, that's the last thing in the WIP basket. Now, in my book for the coming year, I have listed those WIPs. I just had, that's not all of my WIPs, sorry. This was a new start this year and is currently a WIP that I'm carrying through, and I dearly, dearly love stitching on this, and it is Joy to the World, which I'm not sure where the cover is. I have to look and see. But it's fabulous. I love it. Even though the white with those snowflakes is a little ghosty, it's still really cool. And the bag for this is, I think it's still out in my stitchy spot out in the living room. The place where I normally stitch and where I used to film my videos is small, and I tried to move things more into this room and just have what I'm currently working on out there, so that my husband doesn't feel too claustrophobic by all my stuff. As if, you know, 35, 40 years of being together, he's not used to it. But anyway, I will try to find the picture of Joy to the World and insert it, or the information, at the end of this video. And hold on, I see the one of the pumpkin house pieces that I finished. I also finished, I think I showed this at some point last year. Last spring, I finished this little piece by Brenda Gervais with a needle and thread. And when I say little, it's a lot smaller than I thought it was going to be. So I need to finish that. Excuse me. Need to do a fully finish on that. Here's one of the little houses from the houses on Pumpkin Lane. This is the maple house. Look, domestic terrorists on it. I told the dogs, I said, yes, every single one of these blocks has squirrels on it. Not that I'm saying I love them, but that's what's there. Got to stitch what's there, right? But so the other piece that I finished is also that size on the same fabric, and I made a little pillow out of it with a chenille all around the edge of it. Another project that I finished and need to fully finish, I took the pear class at the Jingle Ball this year, and so sorry, I meant to turn that off before we started this. So there is the joy piece. I did want a bright red fabric, but I didn't have anything in my stash, and I was too anxious to just get it started to wait to order something. This was a bonus chart. Love it. Really love it. This is the Noel. And I have no idea what this fabric is. It was a piece of something. You know, actually, I think it was called Lipstick, and I think it was a Picture This Plus. I got it from 123 Stitch. I think that's what it was. And it's a 20 count. And there's the fourth design right there. So I need to finish those into pairs, and I plan to do that before Christmas next year. Now, does that fit in with my normal Christmas colorway? No. Oh well, such is life. In my, I started to say before I saw those laying over there, in my planner for this coming year, I have listed all of those whips. And then I also, so here are my whips that I just went through. Not that many. But I am going to try to be much better about keeping track of things. And not only have I listed whips, but I have a number of things that I want to get started. And those are listed here, and I've put a asterisk by the fact that on this page it's new starts. And that Rocky Mountain Christmas will be a new start. That's on this list. The Snow Queen by Mirabilia, she's actually going to be my New Year's Day start. I'm very excited about that. I've had her for 2 years and too afraid to start her, and the time has come. Celebrate, the big patriotic piece. I finally got the fabric for it. It's going to be, this is a thread keeper with that design on it. I'll put in the notes where I got this. I got Catherine. I think her website is called IGotYouDesigns.com. I think that I'll put it in the in the notes down below. I got this on her website. She showed it. She and her mother, Julie, do a floss tube, and the name escapes me at the moment. I'll add that also. They showed this at during their last floss tube, and I had to pause the video and get right on and get it because I fell in love with it. So this will be a design that I start this year for the anniversary. Will I finish it? Most likely not. It's going to be a new start to commemorate the anniversary, and someday it'll get done. But my fabric is about that color blue. This might look black in this video, but it's actually really dark blue. So actually, the fabric is the same fabric that my Christmas Quaker ornaments is on. That's what I'm going to, not this exact piece, but the same color and everything. That's what I'm going to be stitching a celebration on. Won't that be awesome? Yes, it will. Yes, it will. All right, so I wanted to show you that. In the times that I haven't been actually cross-stitching, I've been, like I said, I was working on putting a quilt binding on. My husband asked me to make some gifts for people in his office for Christmas. And so I was making drop zone bags. The pattern is, they're Bianni bags. I thought I might have some around here to show you, but I don't know what I did with them. Oh, there they are. I think they're really nice, especially, I'm going to make some for my table gifts at Stitch, Texas. He has 3 women who work in his office area and 5 men. The men's are all here in various pieces. I haven't finished them yet. The 3 women's I have finished. And they unzip and they open up into a nice little tray that has a little flange here so that things don't fall out of it. And they can sit it on their desk and use it for whatever. And I figured this would be a great thing for stitchers. So I have 3 of those finished, and I've got a couple more out of this fabric line that I'm putting together, and I'll do some from other fabric lines for table gifts. But I've spent quite a bit of time working on things like that. It takes away from stitching time, but you got to do what you got to do. Okay, few little finishing comments because I'm up to 53 minutes already. Just before Christmas, I decided that I was going to do, instead of WIPGO this year, as I mentioned, I'm doing my own process. Every month, I am going to identify 3, maybe 4 projects that I want to touch during that month. If it's something that I really, really want to get finished, then maybe I'll only touch that one. But I'm going to pick a couple that are hopefully something that I might actually put a few stitches in that month. And those are going to be bigger projects. And then I'll also pull out something for a small. I have a lot of, I've shown you in the past, little patriotic designs for smalls. And so sometimes that'll be that. I would like more autumn pillows for my dough bowls. I'd like some more Christmas stuff. A lot of my Christmas designs are not cross-stitch. They're folded fabric ornaments that I've done in the past, and beaded stars that I've done in the past. That not much cross-stitch, and so I want to do more Christmas smalls. So that's my stitching plans for 26. For January, I will be pulling out, and by the way, I use the planners from Lori from My Crazy Life. I get them on Etsy. I like them because they're spiral bound. And what I'm doing is I love lined sticky notes. See? So I've got 4 picked out that are pretty good size that will get touched in January. The first one is the Snow Queen, which I mentioned is going to be my New Year's Day start. Very excited about that. I finally have fabric I like for her. That was the last piece. I've had the thread, I've had the beads, and I've had the pattern forever. And I finally got fabric that I think she'll look good on. And so that'll be my New Year's Day start. So in 2 days, that's what I'm doing. Be thinking of me. I'll be stitching happily away. I also will be doing more stitching on Joy to the World. Even though Christmas is over, I still am so in love with that design that I'm going to be stitching on that some more. Matter of fact, later today, I'll be stitching on that. Then I decided to really jump into the deep water and do a Heaven and Earth design sale this year, the 2026 Heaven and Earth challenge. And of the designs that you could choose from, I chose to do the Stone Cottage Keep. And I have the fabric, I'm going to do it on 18 count easy grid. There are a couple of threads that I still need. And then the other thing that I want to try to get stitches in on is the watercolor sea turtle that I've shown you in previous videos. That's for a sister, and I need to get it more progress on it and get it on its way to her. And that is a very sincere focus that's going to be coming up January, February, and March, with hopefully finishing it by March. Her birthday is the 1st of March. It won't get there by then, but during her birthday month, I would really like to have it finished. So that's going to be January. And then in February will be watercolor sea turtle, probably Heaven and Earth design, and then we'll see what else fits in with it. And I'm going to go each month. And my objective is to, every month, before the month starts, to sit down with my planner and to make a list. Now, these things that are on Post-it notes right here, until I actually get stitches in on them during that month, I'm not going to put them actually in my planner. They don't get put in the planner in ink until there are stitches in them. Because I want, when the year's over, I want the planner to be accurate. I have started putting in some stickies. I've got this is the color key for the watercolor turtle. I've got it ready to go. I've started putting in stickies. I haven't overdone it because I want to kind of, as I go and find stickers that are appropriate. But this one I thought was really appropriate because this is going to be a new start this month. I told her I'm going to do the Stone Cottage Keep. Oh, like a little stone cottage. So that's what I planned for my 2026 planner. I've got all my stickers here for when I need to fill some in on a month. And the final thing I want to tell you about is I have a floss tree that wasn't really working that well for me. It's the same kind of tree that Christy from Floss Boss and Cousins has. When I saw that in her background and she talked about it, I thought, oh, yeah, that might be a good way to do my floss. But I have more floss than that tree could accommodate. And I found that I was kitting up things and getting duplicates, and knew I was getting duplicates, or was trying to find out. I already have that color, and I'm semi-retired. I don't really have money to spend buying the same thing over and over and over again. So I decided to completely rethink my floss organization, and I'm going to pull this table over so that I can show you what I have decided to do. I got a file box from Staples and went to Etsy and ordered these hangers that are like hanging Pendaflex file folder hangers, and you put the numbers of your floss on them in numerical order, and then you hang on that piece the floss that you have that is that color, and they hang down in here. And so this little file box is going to sit on the floor next to my stitchy chair. And when I am working on any of these projects, all of most of them have the threads in here. A few of them are still kitted up because they had been kitted up already. But when they're done, if they're DMC, they'll go in here. This is where DMC is going to live from now on. My floss tree then will become just for the overdyed threads, and that I don't have tons of those, and that will be much more doable. I did find that I've got a lot of duplicates in the DMC, and I have to go through those yet and get them organized. When I was getting this all set up and pulling out the different numbers, I kept duplicates still on the rings so that when I run out, the first place I'll look is on those rings, and I'll have them in numerical order so that I can just pull it off of there, and then if it's not on there, then I'll know that I actually need to replace it. This has been very useful already because I needed a couple of floss colors for the Heaven and Earth design project. I think it had 3 that when I went through all my floss, there were 3 colors I didn't have for that piece. So I was able, but I thought that I needed like 17 or something like that because there's 80 some colors. I had put all those colors into my cart on 1-2-3 Stitch and got this all done and organized, and so sat there and went through those colors and through what I have here, and it was so much easier to say, oh, nope, I've got that one. I could delete it off of the cart. Nope, I've got that one. I could delete it off the cart. So it turned out that there are actually only 3 colors that I still needed for that chart. So I'm really happy, even though I haven't actually stitched out of this box yet. I'm very happy that so far it has really helped me. I will say in the back, I still have room for some bags, and so in there are the bags of the current projects that I'm going to be working on. Here's the fabric for Snow Queen. She's going to be beautiful. And I have all her beads and specialty threads and everything in there ready to rock and roll. Oops. There are, I think, 3 or 4 hangers that are extra in this box, and not sure what I'm going to do with those yet. But that's the Snow Queen bag, and this bag, where's this bag? Oh, this is going to be a project that'll come up this year. This is the Naughty or Nice Stocking by Teresa Kogut. That's on my start list for this year. And then there's some Christmas smalls in that bag that when I'm ready to work on a small, I can pull it out of that bag. That's my new floss organizing, and I'm so happy and excited to get using it. So I hope that y'all have had a really wonderful holiday season. I hope you have a very safe and happy new year. Please be careful if you're going out, and I hope that you have lots of stitchy time, both for New Year's and in the year ahead. If you find yourself like me, listening to all the craziness in the world and getting stressed out, go to your stitching and it'll keep you company and hopefully keep you sane. And I hope to be back a lot sooner than the interval between this video and the last one. And in the meantime, if you're new here, I hope that you saw something that you liked and that you'll click and subscribe and tell other people about my channel. And please, in your comments, if there's something you'd like to see, or any kind of comment you have about any of the things that I've been working on or plan to work on, please share. That's the main reason why I do this, is to I want to be part of the community, and I hope you do too. I read everything that comes in, so I hope that you will participate and be part of this fabulous community that we've been able to build. In the meantime, be well, be happy, and take care, and happy stitches. Thanks. Bye-bye.